Welcome to Garden Delights. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to talk about cauliflower. We're also going to hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent. So when we come back, you're going to hear more about cauliflower. We'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. We're going to be talking about cauliflower, and it is one of my favorite vegetables to eat. Why I like it? I like it raw, I like it cooked. Any way you can put cauliflower, I'm going to eat it. So let's just talk about it. Let's talk about what is so good about cauliflower. Well, you know, it is good because you can eat a lot of it for a little calories. So for about a cup of raw cauliflower, it's about 25 calories. But you know, to make it even better, a whole cauliflower, like a medium head, close to a large head, that's like 6 to 7 inches wide, you can eat the whole cauliflower for 144 calories. So is that not good for calorie-wise? But what is also so good about it, it has great vitamins in it. It has vitamin C and vitamin K. And you're going to get a lot of good fiber from this cauliflower. You're also going to get folate, a good source of folate, and you're also going to be eating low calorie, but it's going to be fat and saturated fat free, cholesterol free, and it's really low on sodium. So as far as what the sodium is, it's very, very minor on it. So as far as the benefits from it, it is awesome. So think about cauliflower. Now let's talk about the selection part of it. When you're buying cauliflower, or if you're growing cauliflower, you want to make sure that you're looking at it and make sure it doesn't have any brown spots, any damage to it, because you want these to be really compact, small curds is what we call it, a creamy looking curd, because if it's compact, that means it's firm, it's going to look good. You also want to look at the base of it, and the base is going to have the green part of it where you cut it off because it grows in the ground. So when you cut it off and you bring it in from the garden, or if you're going to buy it, look at the green part too. So when you flip it over, look at that green part, because that also tells you if it's going to be really good, because the green part should be really nice, good green color. You shouldn't see any decay or any problems with that cauliflower. So when you're looking for that, look for that. Make sure you don't have any brown spots. Make sure it's really tight on the curds, and you're looking for that part of it. Because if it starts splitting out and everything, that means the cauliflower is probably going to go bad. And you don't want to buy any bad cauliflower. So let's talk about the storage. So if I'm going to buy my cauliflower, you want to make sure that you buy your cauliflower and it'll stay in your refrigerator. You might want to transfer it into another bag, and it'll stay in the bag to about 5 days. And hopefully by then you've decided what you want to do with that cauliflower. I'm going to have broccoli in the salad also, and I'll talk a little bit more about the broccoli once I put our salad together. But just the selection part of it, it's about 5 days in the refrigerator. And hopefully you've got your mind made up in 5 days what you're going to do with it. And then for preparation, you know, like I said, you can eat it raw, you can eat it cooked, stir-fried. People are now taking it, putting it in a food processor, grinding it up, and using it for rice even. And so if you're trying to watch your weight, it's a great way to watch your weight by eating cauliflower. Grind it up and use it for your rice in a stir-fry. So just think about the different ways that you can eat it to make it nutritional for you, but also different ways that you can eat it to make it where you can eat it more often than just one time a year. Also buy it when it's in season, because when you buy it in season, it's going to cost less for you also. So when we come back, we're going to hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, and he's going to talk more about cauliflower, and then we're going to come back and make a cauliflower broccoli salad. We'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights.
Okay, today we're going to be talking about cauliflower. This is what cauliflower looks like when it's in its state ready to eat. It is akin to cabbage and kale and broccoli, very similar to broccoli. We actually eat the immature flowers that this crop produces. It produces a little different looking thing than broccoli, and we want to pick it in this stage right here so that it's still tight. This curd is tight. As it gets older, it'll start spreading apart, and we want to pick it before it spreads apart, and then we'll talk about blanching it a little bit to keep it white. It can't be exposed to the sunlight. Some varieties of cauliflower are bred to have leaves that cover this up, and so it doesn't get a lot of sunlight. They're self-blanching varieties, but that's not always the case. So what you would wind up doing to protect this, once it's about the size of a golf ball or an egg, you would start shading it. So you'd pull some of the leaves around it, tie them with a rubber band, and that would keep shade on it so it stays nice and bright colored. If you just let it be open to the sunlight, it'll turn yellow. There's nothing wrong with it being yellow. It still eats just as good, but people don't want to buy it in the farmer's market or the grocery store when it's yellow. So, and there are varieties that are purple and yellow, different colors, but what we're talking about here is the white variety. Now, a lot of people give up on growing cauliflower because it's a little finicky, but we're going to grow some, and we'll see if we can overcome that as we go through it. And so I encourage you to go get some. See, I had to go to the grocery store get this because nobody around here is growing any cauliflower for the reason that I said. But let's just talk about it. The pH of the soil needs to be in the 6.5, 6.7 range, somewhere in there. And we need a lot of organic matter in our soil. We don't have enough organic matter. It doesn't do well in the red clay soils. It doesn't develop a good root system. That's one of the reasons that people have trouble growing it, is because of that. And so we want to get a lot of organic matter incorporated into our soil mix when we grow it. I'm going to plant some seed here, and what I'm planting the seed in is very similar to what I'm going to be growing this crop in when I transplant it into the garden. We plant our seeds about 6 weeks or so before our last frost. We want to get them in the ground about, in our case, towards the end of March, mid-March, towards the end. So they're in the ground a couple of weeks before our last freeze on a spring planting. Then on the fall planting, we want to get them in the ground in August, September, somewhere in that time frame, because cauliflower does not like extreme cold temperatures, and it does not like extremely hot temperatures. So we try to get that window. Takes it 60 to 90 days to mature. We want to get that window so we get it in the fall when it's cool, but before it gets freezing cold. And then in the springtime, plant it when it's a little cold, but it's going to get into the cool area. If it gets too hot, it will bolt and this just go to seed, and then you won't get anything out of it that way. So that's a little bit about how to grow it. The organic matter, very important. The pH is very important. And there's a good brochure from the University of Georgia on growing cauliflower, and it names a few varieties in here that are good for our area. I'm planting here today some early snowball, which is okay for our area also. The reason I selected this variety is the only one that was on the shelf in the seed department that was cauliflower. So we're going to grow some of this, what did I say? It was early snowball. And I encourage you to go get you some seed or some transplants. Later on in the spring and in the fall, you'll be able to find transplants if you don't want to grow it from seed. So I'm going to just go ahead and plant some here, and maybe in future shows we'll go back and check it. As you can see, the seed is very small, and we're going to plant it about a 1/2 inch deep. If I can get a hold of it, we're just going to put it in here. Hopefully where I wanted to put it. That's where I wanted to put that one, by the way. We'll put another one in that pot. As I go along, I'll become more agile, and we'll be able to get them in there. My glasses are laying here, so I think I'll put them on. Oh yeah, they're not quite as small as I said they were. So we're getting them in about a 1/2 inch deep, and we'll come back and see if they came up. And of course, these are going to stay inside. I got a window over here that we can grow them in. And if I get started talking and I miss one, we'll be able to tell when we watch the show, and I'll come back and plant it later. And of course, hopefully the cleaning crew will come through before the ones I drop on the carpet come up. All right, I've got one in each pot. If I was planting seed out in the garden later on, I'd probably plant 2 or 3 of them in each spot and pick the best one after they come up. But right now, I'm gonna save these for later planting. Now, these are all, I planted all these today. They're all going to grow, they're all going to mature at the same time. So unless I really want to eat a lot of cauliflower, this is not the best way to do it. So what you want to do is plant a few this week, a few next week, a few week after next, so that they'll be staggered in the way they mature, so that I can eat cauliflower over a long period of time, and I don't have to just eat it all at once, because in that case, we'd just be giving it away, because we couldn't eat all that. That is pretty much what goes on. The brochure gives you some good information here about how to grow it, and it's got to be blanched like we talked about. When it's about the size of an egg, we're going to tie some leaves over the top of it. I've seen some videos where some folks in the commercial aspect, instead of tying it and putting a rubber band around it, they actually just break a leaf off and let it lay over the top of it. But in our case, with small production, we can put the rubber bands around the leaves. And that's about what I know about it. We'll put a little 5, 10, 15 fertilizer before we plant it, and then about once a month after that, we'll come back with some more 5, 10, 15, 3 to 4 pounds per 100 square foot of garden space there. And that will be, so it needs to be fertilized. It needs a little water. It needs, now, it is just like cabbage and kale, and it gets cabbage worms on it, and it gets all sorts of little insects that want to start eating the leaves. We probably want to get a little Bacillus thuringiensis of BT to put on it early in its life to control those caterpillar type insects. Cutworms can also get into it. It's it's susceptible about everything that cabbage is, so you're gonna have to manage it and be sure you don't want to set it out when the soil is completely too cold or it'll damp off, just like a tomato or anything else does. It gets planted when the soil is really cold. It's cold tolerant, but the extremes on either end make it difficult to get you a good curd here that makes the cauliflower, and I like cauliflower. In fact, Susan's gonna cook some cauliflower here in just a little bit. That's gonna be good. So we'll go see what Susan's fixing, and I'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Garden Delights. We're going to be making cauliflower and broccoli salad, and so we're going to start off with a medium head of cauliflower, and I have already broke the pieces into small pieces because remember, you're going to be eating it, and so you want small pieces where people can get it to your mouth. And then you're going to have, so that's about a medium to large head is what I've picked out. This is a bunch of broccoli, and it's not a lot, but it's just a bunch, so just pick out a bunch. And if you want more broccoli, please add to it. We're going to add some broccoli to it. I'm going to set this right here. And then you're going to need, for this recipe, you're going to need a small red onion. So I'm going to go ahead and dump that in there. And you can smell this onion, I can tell y'all this. So I'm going to get the rest of this onion out because it really makes it taste really good, the salad. All right, and then I have about 8 slices of bacon. I did cook it in the microwave, trying to soak off as much of the oil as possible. And then you crumble it up. So I'm going to add the 8 slices of bacon. And you can substitute if you want to with another type of bacon if it's lower fat than what you want, or there's other substitutes out there for the bacon if you want to look around and see if there's something else out there. And then you're going to put in, this is 1/3 cup of raisins, and I'm using the golden raisins because I just like the color of them and I like the taste of them also. So we're going to put that in, and what I want to do right now is I'm just going to kind of incorporate this all together, mix it together, make it where I make my dressing, it'll be already kind of moved together. Doesn't this look pretty? The colors. And you know, I think about over the holidays, we've eaten so much different things, and you know, I'm always looking for a way to come back for the new year and think about how we're going to add some roughage to our diet. And like I said, this is loaded with great fiber, so I want to think about what we can do to do something different from the same things that we always have. So I think this is mixed up pretty good. I've got the bacon, the onions kind of moved around. Of course, I'm going to end up moving around just a little bit more. Now, this salad is going to tell you that you need to keep it, if you can, in the refrigerator overnight, because this dressing will marinate really well with the cauliflower and the broccoli. So just keep that in mind. It just does just a little bit better if you do that. So let's talk about the dressing part of it. We have here 1 cup of light mayonnaise. We have 1/3 of sugar, and you could also substitute if you wanted to with another type of sweetener if you didn't want to use sugar. I also have 2 teaspoons of vinegar, and this is just going to spunk it up a little bit. It's going to make it tasty, just mixing this all together. So I'm going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this with a whisk just so I can make sure I get everything mixed in really well, the sugar. And then we're going to put this dressing on top of the salad. So I want to make sure I have this mixed up really well. And you could use a spoon too if you wanted to, but I loved when I can use a whisk because it just seems to mix better. And I'm just going to put it around. And this is going to be so good. And by letting it sit overnight, you will have the sugar will melt into that mayonnaise even better. That's the reason why I said if you can, make sure you can let it sit overnight. So we're just going to mix this around, and I want to make sure every bit of this cauliflower gets a little bit of the dressing on it. And this is really easy to make. If you get a call and say somebody's coming over and you need to figure something out pretty quick, you can make this so quick, and it's really, really tasty. So I want to make sure I get it all mixed up good. And when the onions get the dressing on it, it's going to make the onions taste even better. Let's knock a piece off. So I want to make sure I get it all mixed in good. And I think the broccoli just really helps with the color too. I mean, you could make it straight broccoli, straight cauliflower, but I like cauliflower so much, so you can see that it's overpowering a little bit of the broccoli, but it's going to be really good. And it looks like I have, from what I can tell, most of the dressing is coating everything in this bowl. All right, so we have the cauliflower and broccoli salad. It smells really, really good, and it's going to be really tasty. So when we come back, we'll have Frank come back and taste our cauliflower and broccoli salad. We'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden of Lights. Welcome back to Garden of Lights. We have Frank with us, and Frank, we're going to be trying this cauliflower salad.
I'm ready.
I hope
for
you
some
are.
Cauliflower.
It's going to be good. See if I can get it over here. It's heavy.
Got a little broccoli in there too.
Yes. I'll give you a little bit more.
You know, they're related. They're all in the same family with cabbage and kale.
And we just didn't know they had all these family members to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
It's got a little sweet to it.
But you know, cauliflower's been around since about 600 BC that they know of, and they still can't decide on whether or not it's a flower. And so there are people that say it's not a flower, and they're adamant about it, and people that say it is a flower. And so we're going to settle that today right here on this show.
So which one is it?
It is a flower. So when you're eating broccoli, these are the only two vegetables that you're going to eat that you actually eat the flower. So if you don't like eating flowers, then too bad. See, some people even have gone to the point of making T-shirts and things. Let me set this down just a minute because my paper won't open. Maybe they made T-shirts that said, cauliflower is not a flower.
That is really neat.
And I guess those people are going to have to change their ways because they're just wrong.
They're just wrong because it's a flower.
Yeah, it's a little hard to grow. Sometimes it's an immature flower, but it's still a flower.
Well, this is a good flower.
If they don't like eating flowers for some reason, they're out of luck.
That's true. That is true.
We have decided after all these years,
it's a flower.
we're declaring it a flower.
Sounds good to me. Frank and I will see you back next time on Garden Light, but check out the website for this wonderful recipe. We'll see you back next time on Garden of Lights.
Go get some more flowers and eat them. They're good for you.